What do we have here? An adult cartoon that thoroughly trivializes evil and serves up a spicy dish of dangerous temptation to adult and child alike. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. Adult cartoons are called adult for a reason. Unlike the famous cartoons by Warner Brothers and MGM and arguably Disney, adult cartoons are for adults only. But the genre exists to tempt minors with adult themes by the very nature of the medium. Which brings us to the latest Disney project, Little Demon, created by Darcy Fowler, Seth Kirshner, and Kieran Valla, with voices by Danny DeVito, Lucy DeVito, and Aubrey Plaza, now playing on FX Network, having premiered in August of 2022. This is a cartoon show that says it's for adults. In reality, it's for your children. Before I start my critical rant, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of good merchandise there. Especially this t-shirt I have chosen for today. Now, look at this. Here's the name Mickey, in the way that the late Walt Disney used to print his name. Below it, you see what could be its reflection in a pool of water, except that the reflection reads, Wicked. Well, as I intend to show, Little Demon is very wicked indeed. And the reaction to it shows an even greater evil. One more thing. If you like, or at least appreciate what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click on that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do. Excuse me just a minute. Okay, first some background. The title character, voiced by Lucy DeVito, is a 13-year-old girl in middle school in a rough neighborhood in a rough city. As such, she faces some typical challenges, including bullying and the onset of puberty, with all that comes with it. Her mother, voice of Aubrey Plaza, is trying to raise her alone and protect her from the unsavory influence of her father, the voice of Lucy's real-life father, Danny DeVito. That anyone would make such a dysfunctional scenario the subject of comic relief is a sad enough commentary on our society. Add this to it, though. Her father is Satan. In a twist on the 1968 movie Rosemary's Baby, we're seeing the result of a literal satanic dance 13 years later. So when the bullies attack, Chrissy, that's the girl's name, literally tears them apart, telekinetically. I said literally. I won't describe that further. Just imagine. Right away we have a twist on another horror movie of the last century, Brian De Palma's Carrie from 1976, based on the novel by Stephen King. And while her mother urges restraint, now her father is trying to reconnect and encouraging her to use her powers full force. Little Demon apparently is drawing viewers in and playing to rave average viewer and average user reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I have left links to this and 4 other critical reviews in the description. Rotten Tomatoes has these composite ratings at time of writing. All critics rating, 86% raving. Top critics, 60% raving. Average viewer score, 83% raving. And by critical convention, a rave is positive, a rant is negative. Little Demon first came to my attention when Jan Markell of Olive Tree Ministries ranted about it on her radio program on American Family Radio. And by the way, Jan Markell has her own channel on YouTube, and as of today, I am featuring it on my channel page. Her particular rant concerned its subject matter. We are talking about the devil and the Antichrist. female Antichrist. Chew on that one. At a time when the devil might be getting ready for his last desperate push. See 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verses 16 through 18, Revelation chapter 3 verse 10, and especially Revelation chapter 13 for further details. Well, of course, Jan Markell resents anyone making light of two of the most dangerous personages in the universe, and rightly so. Nor would she have wanted to describe it further than she did. Other critics have described the tearing apart scene and also some frankly lascivious displays about which I will say nothing further. Representative Mike Johnson, who represents the 4th District of Louisiana, ranted about the show's trailer on Facebook. I have a link in the description to his Facebook post. I'm just going to quote the second paragraph here. Quote, I couldn't get to the remote fast enough to shield my 11-year-old from the preview, and I wonder how many other children were exposed to it, and how many millions more will tune in to the new series owned and marketed by Disney. Unquote, Mike Johnson. Again, when you make an animated cartoon, minors will check it out no matter how diligent you try to be. And remember, the liberal and libertarian left no longer recognize the concept minor. Johnson quotes extensively from one of several critical reviews. Before I dive into those, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You're not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities that company provides, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. As I was saying, Representative Johnson quotes extensively from Ross McIndoe's review in Slant. Remarkably, Mr. McIndoe seems to regard the show as mediocre, but only because he wants to see more abuse of telekinesis. This introductory excerpt says it all. Quote, most of the show's best moments come when it leans into its hellish premise and plumbs the depths of its own depravity. Unquote, Ross McIndoe. Ben Travers at IndieWire finds the show boring and predicts early cancellation because it is too conventional. Likewise, Brian Tallarico at Roger Ebert almost despairs of the show reaching its full potential after 3 cliche-ridden episodes. Manuel Betancourt at AV Club can't seem to make up his mind about the show. Again, I've left links in the description to all these reviews. Now here's the problem. Every one of these critics, except Representative Johnson, missed the point. Johnson, of course, picked up on a direct quote by voice actress Aubrey Plaza in her interview at the San Diego Comics Convention, or ComicCon. I have a link in the description to a video of the whole interview, and I want to leave you with this quote. I love that we are normalizing paganism. Laura, that's the mother, is a pagan, she's a witch, she's jacked. Whatever that means. Unquote, Aubrey Plaza. Cue another parallel, The Witches of Eastwick from 1987, in which Cher, Susan Sarandon, and Michelle Pfeiffer play a 3-woman coven, and Jack Nicholson shows up as Old Nick. Pun intended. Aubrey Plaza, you're not in that league. But again, that's scarcely the worst part of this project. In a series of tweets, to which I also have links in the description, Representative Johnson continues his rant against little demons. I'm going to quote the whole thing in full. Yesterday, I shared a Facebook post expressing my concern and a notice to parents about the disturbing new animated sitcom Little Demon, created and marketed by Disney FX. An ad with its dark trailer was played during Disney ABC's Labor Day Eve broadcast of the LSU Florida State game, which the latest ratings say dominated Sunday night TV with 5.87 million total viewers. As of this morning, my Facebook post just surpassed that number and reached more than 6.13 million people. Free speech is an important principle, and in this country, everyone can obviously make their own decisions about what media they and their families consume. But a corollary is that Christians have the freedom to fulfill our obligation to speak the truth in love. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15, even, and sometimes most importantly, when it may not be popular. Unquote Mike Johnson. Well, it wasn't popular. But I mentioned the rants the threat got only to condemn them. If some people could get past his political affiliation, and yes, he's a Republican, they might learn something. Apologists for the show will, of course, insist that they only sought a twist on how a child becomes a little demon at puberty. Lay aside for a moment all the horror shows and one horror comedy from which they borrowed so shamelessly. When evil becomes banal, it becomes less threatening. This also shows that the spirit world abhors a vacuum. Without God in one's life, the devil moves in. Add this to it. The villains Chrissy encounters along the way necessarily stand in for anyone who objects to sin. And they also deserve punishment, but not the kind of punishment we see in this show. Ugh. Stephen King's brand of horror is bad enough. He takes misfit characters, examples of which everyone surely knows, and imbues them with great power to get their revenge. And sometimes those characters do good, more often they do bad, and they almost always die tragically. But at least Stephen King takes the subject matter seriously. Fowler, Kirshner, and Vala do not. Instead, they play with spiritual fire. And so does Disney. CEO Bob Chapek, if he is at all sincere, has let Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm distract him from a greater hazard than the ruination of Star Wars ever could have been. The rot has definitely set in. Mike Johnson says to stay away from a show named Little Demon. It's likely time to stay away from Disney altogether. Link in the description of the article, to all the reviews of Little Demon, to Representative Johnson's Facebook post and his tweets, to Aubrey Plaza's interview at San Diego ComicCon, and to conservative news and views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the next screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link and a link to that video of, and a link to that interview at ComicCon and some of my earlier videos about Disney and what it has become. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.